angels, it's Haley Reese, and for today's video I am super excited, like I always am. I'm starting to realize I say that a lot, and it's not because I'm being unauthentic or scripted. I just get really excited for everything. But today I'm really excited because we are taking it back to some Christmas themed spooky stories, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of what are supposedly, I haven't read them myself, of the scariest true ghost stories that are said to make our arm hair stand up. So I guess we'll be the judge of it. We're going to hear some Christmas themed ghost stories, and we're going to dive into the spooky but festive spirit. Before I get into today's video, I do want to say that it is not sponsored by this company, and I am not being paid to share this with you guys. And me putting their link in the description box, I swear to goodness, is just because I am really excited about this company. But a company called Arm the Animals sent me a whole bunch of shirts, and I loved them. I'm actually wearing a crew neck from them right now. Let me show you guys what it says. It says Dog Mom AF, which is like literally me in 3 words. I love my dog more than anything. But what I love even more than this crew neck right here is what this company stands for. Arm the Animals' mission is to provide both funds and support to animal wellness organizations, which is something that I'm extremely passionate about because, for those of you who don't know, I have a little dog named Ace. He is the best thing to ever happen to me, and I actually rescued him after he was taken from an extremely abusive, dangerous, and traumatizing home prior. And he is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So any company that creates cute, punny, adorable, like pet owner gear, I am all for it, and especially when it goes towards helping animals that may have been in tough situations or just really need the funds and the support in order to stay alive, like my Ace did, because if I never found him through any rescue organization, I would have never met my best friend. So I wanted to share this with you guys. I will have a link to all of their stuff down below. They have some of the cutest stuff. Enough rambling and getting emotional and sappy over my dog, who I love so much. Let's get into this spooky Christmas ghost story video, because I've been feeling like my channel's been lacking a little bit of that Christmas spook, and I am so ready to bring it back. I mean, I'm saving a lot of the good ones for the final week leading up to Christmas because, I mean, come on, that's when we're the most Christmassy. But I really want to bring something onto this channel today that is kind of going to bring us back to the Reesemas theme, but also give us that spook that we all have come to love so very much. So what I did was I actually just Googled true Christmas ghost stories, and I found a website that says 5 true Christmas ghost stories to keep you awake at night until Santa comes. And I was like, ooh, this sounds good. So I briefly skimmed the names of all of the different stories, and I realized I want to read them first impressions with you guys and see if any of these 5 spooky tales get to us. Now, apparently they are 100% true ghost stories. People submitted this, it's what they encountered, but whether or not you guys believe it, I'll leave that up to you. I just said that's so corny, up to you. Like I'm on some game show or something. Oh my goodness, Haley. I'm lame. The first one is titled The Bright Light and the Calm Watchdog. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's see. I had an unusual visitor on Christmas Day 2008, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Santa Claus passing by my house in Bloomington, Indiana. The day started in a typical fashion with the opening of gifts around the Christmas tree. I served an early Christmas dinner for family and friends, and everybody departed by 5 p.m., except my sister and brother-in-law who live with me. They were sleeping in a bedroom at the end of the hall with the door open. I went into my bedroom with my dog Toby and shut the door securely. I was just dozing off when I heard the latch on my bedroom door open. I waited several seconds for my sister or brother-in-law to ask me whatever they came in to say, but there was no other sound. It was almost 7 p.m., so my bedroom was pitch black. I had left the... Geez, I wish I could go to bed at 7 p.m. I could never. I had left the lights on in the kitchen and the bathroom, and there were lots of Christmas lights on in the living room, so the hallway would have been well lit. I would be able to see whoever was at the door just by lifting my head. I pushed the blankets down and lifted my head from the pillow, but just as I would have been able to see who was in the doorway, an extremely bright light hit me right in the eyes. I shielded my eyes and yelled, "Turn out that light, you're blinding me." The light immediately disappeared and I heard the bedroom door latch closed. My bedside light is a touch lamp, so I tapped it on and looked around the bedroom. There was no one in the bedroom except me and Toby. Toby jumped off the bed and went to the door without showing any signs of alarm. At first I wasn't frightened because Toby is a Dutch Shepherd, well trained to be an excellent watchdog and proven personal protection dog. Since Toby was already up, I decided to go let him outside and see what sis or brother-in-law needed. When I went into the hallway, I could see them both still in bed. I took Toby to the living room to let him outside, and there was nobody there either. So who opened my bedroom door and turned a spotlight on my face? Like most people, the thought of loved ones are always close at hand during the holiday season. When I first went to lie down, I was thinking how happy I was that my small family had enjoyed a pleasant Christmas, but it would have been so much better if my mother or brother had still been alive to share it with us. I would like to think it was my brother's spirit stopping by to say Merry Christmas. I still think of you too. Aww. I haven't been able to debunk this strange event or find any kind of rational explanation. I'm half afraid that my heart stopped during my sleep and the light I saw was the bright light people report after a near-death experience. Leave it to me to see the stairway to heaven and ruin my chance at eternal paradise by saying, "Turn out that light." I've made a mental note that if I ever see another bright light to clean up my language, just in case. That's a cute little ending. Honestly, I think that around Christmas time, our loved ones are of course with us. Actually, I'll tell you guys a quick, interesting little story. I'll try to tell this quick because we have 4 other stories to read through, but this story really touched my heart. So every Christmas since my grandpa passed away, I always in my room talk to him and say that I know he's here, and my gift to him is I sing "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion, and that was one of my grandpa's favorite songs ever to hear me sing. And it's funny because now that he's passed, the lyrics really resonate with me because, I mean, you are safe in my heart and my heart will go on. It's like he never left, he's safe in my heart. Now I did this, like, honest to goodness, you guys, every year from his passing. He passed away when I was just about to be 14, so I was around 13 years old, and when I turned 18, my mom's friend who actually sees deceased loved ones and sees angels and spirit guides and stuff like that, one day comes up to me out of nowhere and says, "Your grandpa never leaves your side, he's there with you, and he wants to thank you for the Christmas present you give him every year." And honest to goodness, you guys, this was something I did in my room before going to sleep at the end of Christmas. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have known that I did it every year except for him if he were there. And he said a couple other messages to her that I just know was my grandpa, 10 billion%. And so I know firsthand that loved ones are always around us, especially during the holiday season when we need them the most. And if you have anyone who's passed, they're definitely with you too. So I would not be surprised in a typical brotherly fashion if he was like shining a bright light in her eyes so she wouldn't see that it was him or what. But that was kind of a nice story that didn't scare me to death until Santa comes, but it was a good story. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is The Returned Relative. It was Christmas time of 95 or 96 at my aunt's house on a reservation in North Dakota. Some of my family was in the living room watching television. The kids were playing in the room or sleeping, and my uncle, aunt, and I were sitting at the table putting a puzzle together. My cousin, who worked at the casino, would come home around midnight. This night, as she pulled up and was walking towards the house, she looked in the window and saw me sitting at the table, my uncle sitting across from me, and someone standing to the left of me, and someone standing in the corner. So she continued to walk in the house thinking nothing of it. As we were sitting here at the table, she looked at me and asked who was standing next to me a few minutes ago and who was in the corner. I told her no one, and she said, "Yeah, there was someone standing next to you. It looked like your mom and she was playing with your hair." Then it says in brackets, "I have long hair which I used to wear down all the time." She said this person was running her hand on my hair like a mother does to a child. It kind of freaked me out, being I was probably only 12 or 13 at the time. My cousin swears up and down that someone was standing over me, rubbing my head and watching us put the puzzle together with my aunt and uncle, and that there was another person standing behind this person. We got around to thinking it was probably her mom she saw. She passed away on her birthday a week before Christmas in '92. In my family, we consider our aunts and uncles to be just like our moms and dads. After thinking that it could have been her, it didn't scare me so much. However, we couldn't figure out who the person standing in the corner was, and always around Christmas time, something strange happens, so we'd like to think it's just her visiting us. Okay, again, this is like a good freaky Christmas story, but it doesn't have me terrified. I would have to bet it is either who they think it is, which I'm sure they would know much better than me, who the heck am I to judge, or it could be guardian angels. You never know, but regardless, whatever they were or are, they sound like they had good intentions. Okay, this next one is called The Haunted Tree. My parents and I live in a small home that was around 90 years old. The year would have been 96. We lived there from the time I was 7 years old to the time I was 19. From the very day we moved in, I felt that I wasn't alone. One year at Christmas time, I was having a friend spend the night. The heat had just shut off briefly and she and I were sitting in the living room watching television when the temperature dropped substantially. As I rose to turn up the heat, the Christmas tree began to shake violently. Ornaments were falling right off and left and right, and I was terrified. We ran upstairs to lay down on my bed. My white cat curled up with us and the door was open slightly. When I gazed in the dark hallway, I was horrified to see a tall figure run down the hall. I turned to my friend and she acknowledged that she had seen the exact same thing. The cat started hissing like crazy. She never spent the night, ever again. That's kind of eerie. I think anytime that a ghost has the ability to shake things in your room, it obviously becomes a terrifying thing because ultimately, whether or not they have good or bad intentions, they have the strength as an entity to physically move things and to hurt things or touch things, which means they could touch you. I don't know. Anytime that things start shaking like that, I get a little bit nervous. So what do you guys think of that one? That would be pretty darn scary. The next one is called The Figure in the Recliner. My mother, who I was very close with, passed away in '64 when I was 17. I left home that year and moved to Ontario from Nova Scotia. I live in the province of Ontario. In 1969, I met a girl who I'll call Karen, and we got married in 1970. In December of '71, we were expecting our first child. We were living in a small 1 to 1.5 bedroom bungalow. There was a fireplace in the living room. My wife and I loved the fireplace, and we had it lit every night. It was Christmas Eve, 1971, and we had just finished putting the gifts under the tree, and a nice fire gave off a beautiful glow. On the tree, one string of lights, which was supposed to flash, had stopped several days before. It was 5 minutes to midnight when the fireplace suddenly just went out and the string of lights started to flash, and the other lights stopped flashing. Interesting, it sounds like something out of Stranger Things. My wife and I were sitting on the floor and it became very cold in the room. I looked over to my lazy boy chair and a figure was sitting there. My mother, with a big, beautiful smile on her face. My wife, who had never met my mother, said that she could see the same thing. This ghost never spoke, but just kept looking at me and my wife smiling. At 12 midnight, the fire in the fireplace started up again and the lights on the tree stopped flashing and the others started flashing again. I looked over in the chair and she was gone. No matter what I did to those Christmas lights, they never flashed again. Woo! That's a good one. It's eerie because the lights went out. She used her ability to flash only those lights that went out. And after that, when the ghost disappeared of his mother and everything went back to normal, those lights never worked again. I don't know. It's spooky in a wonderful way. Like a lot of these ones I'm finding are scary, but in positive ways. I don't know. I think they mistitled this article. And the final one is titled The Ghostly Christmas Choir. That sounds kind of freaky. On Christmas Eve night, 1978, at about 3 a.m. in Oregon, I was suddenly awakened by a choir singing. The house was new construction, miles from the nearest church. I strained to hear any words that I could understand or a tune that I could identify, but I could not understand the language or the tune. I did get the feeling of angelic and gladness of heart. This was truly a heavenly choir lifting their voices on high, singing to the highest in an unknown tongue without the accompaniment of instruments. That's interesting. I examined the television, but it was turned off, as was the radio. I explored outside, but the singing was not heard outdoors. The way the countless male, female, and children's voices intertwined together, the tones going from the highs to the deepest of bass voices in perfect harmony, it must have lasted 10 minutes, but it stayed with me for eternity. So something interesting and spooky about this, I just popped my pop socket in case you heard that noise. Something spooky but interesting about this is that 3 a.m. is when the veil's the thinnest, and it does happen to be a time that a lot of negative, demonic, or evil spirits come through. It could honestly be that when the veil was the thinnest, a whole bunch of ghosts or deceased people in the area were just singing Christmas carols together. I don't know, that one's kind of spooky. I can guarantee you on my life, if I lived in a remote location and all of a sudden at 3 a.m. I heard a choir singing, I would never go outside to look for them. That is just, I would just never do that. But I mean, to each their own. It sounds like the part in the horror movie where something really bad is gonna happen to that person. But I mean, if they said they got an angelic feeling and they felt, you know, purity of the heart, then it must have been a good experience. Well, you guys, those are the 5 spooky Christmas tales. Let's read what they titled that again, because I have to say, I think they may have slightly mistitled it. So it was titled 5 True Christmas Ghost Stories to Keep You Awake at Night Until Santa Comes. Okay, so maybe they didn't really mistitle it because they are spooky and they are ghostly and Christmassy, but I found a lot of them to be reassuring and beautiful. What do you guys think of these stories? Do you think they're terrifying, or do you think they were beautiful, or what would you do if any of these things happened to you? On that note, has any of these types of things happened to you? I would really love it if you guys would let me know in the comments below. I just love it every single time that you guys tell me what you think or what you've experienced. It's the best thing ever, and I feel like it really connects us. So don't forget to let me know in the comments below your thoughts, your experiences, and anything and everything that you felt during this video. On that note, that is the end of today's video. I love you guys so much. We hit 300,000. I cried real tears. I get so emotional every single time I see my subscriber count go up. Like, I am so humbled that 300,000, over 300,000 people in this world are engaged in the content that I create and support me and this family and this channel. It just means absolutely everything to me. I don't even know what to say other than I love you guys so much, and I'm gonna keep working so hard to continuously create consistent quality content for you guys, because you guys deserve that. You guys are so dedicated to me, and I really, really, really want to reciprocate that and be beyond dedicated to you guys. On that note, if you're new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos. I am posting every day from now until Christmas, the best time of year. And if you did enjoy today's video, I would love it if you would give it a big thumbs up, because it honestly encourages me to keep on making these videos, and it just means the world. And on that note, you guys, remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, I love you.